So I wanted to start the day off. I shut off the phone after I uploaded the last video, and I got some sleep. I was able to sleep last night, which is great. Um, and I wanted to start off with a video today where I discuss things. That's part of this process for me. Someone said that this system was created ages ago, and it involved heating children, I guess. They said it started with me as a child, so that would be children, and showing us images to kind of sexualize us and make us think that we were sexy as kids. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but if this is happening to you, I'm on Twitter at Shamega Johnson. I always put my name in the title so anybody can find me. I'm Shamega Johnson. I'm 49, so I was born in 1973 in December. So if they said this started in 1973, when I was born, that's child abuse. But I'm Shamega Johnson. You can at me on Twitter, leave a comment in the video comment section. I'm also at Cup of Java Pro on Twitter. You can, at me there or leave a comment in the video section. I'm also Fashion Fun Femme on Twitter. Again, all of those things, you can leave a comment, find me on Twitter. A lot of people are on Twitter showing pictures of their experiences. I'm not sure all of them have YouTube channels, but they're on Twitter. And a lot of people have pictures. They have videos of the sounds, the noises, and the talking they hear. It's all there. So I think my part of exposing this is pretty much what I'm doing, but I also wanted to tell you guys my life story while I can. They've said, certain comments that I don't want to repeat because I don't know the future, but I said in my apartment to my mother, so be it. Whatever happens, so be it. That's what it was meant to happen. So let me talk about some of the things that they mentioned. They said, I was seductive as like a little girl to my older cousin's boyfriend. Again, that's bizarre comment. That's a bizarre comment. But they also lied and said that I sexually assaulted somebody as a little girl. That's just, it's just so bizarre. But what makes me sad is that they put the thought in my head when I spent the night I told you, the elementary schoolmate's home, that something bad happened. And I came home and told my family. That's part of what they wanted to cover up. That was a definite time that I knew something bad happened while I was sleeping. They said it happened all along. It didn't. It didn't. And I said that in a previous video. So for them to be putting these sexual thoughts in a child's head while that child is sleeping is beyond the most horrible thing. Do I think I'm the only child that could have happened to? I'm probably not. What they're getting confused about, and I've said this all along, is that these things seem to operate in phases. So there's a phase for this, a phase for that, and it escalates until, I guess, we die. That's what they told me. They said, this won't stop until I die. What happened in 2016 seems to be, and they've admitted, they went back and investigated stuff and wanted to reactivate this in my head. It seems like maybe as a child it wasn't completely active, or it seems that they have to constantly do it. It doesn't seem like they do it once and then it stops. So as I'm finding out more, it seems that to reactivate it at night, they heat my head. So they had to hit me in this area of my head, mainly the right side, because they used the word remember. So it's to lock in memories. They have to hit the temple area. They have to hit the back of the head. So in 2016, that meant all that time, this really, to my knowledge, wasn't happening. But in 2016, they wanted to reactivate it. So they went back. They said somebody has a notebook full of stories. So they weren't following me, but they were jotting down stories. And what they said is they made the stories, like they exaggerated the stories so that they could find a way of making me believe it. So it's not necessarily just to make other people believe it, but to make me believe it. So there was no story of me as a little girl assaulting anyone. There was a story of me being a big girl and babysitting my cousin who's just less than a year younger than me. And I was going to babysit her. We fell asleep and I was upset because I wanted to see the Michael Jackson special. That's how many decades ago this would have been. And so when I went to this elementary schoolmate's home, her and her family, especially her aunt, asked me a lot of questions about that. And that's when that dream happened at her apartment. That was ages ago. So maybe I could have been like 10, 9 or 10, a little kid. And that was ages ago. So they said that was designed to make me think I did something wrong. So what I'm telling you folks, and I'm going to title this if I remember, because the talking makes me forget some things. It's designed to make you think you did something wrong. After that incident where they wanted me to think I sexually assaulted my little cousin who's like less than a year younger than me, they continued to invite me over. If they thought as a little child I was sexually assaulting people, they wouldn't have done that. That goes back to the story that I told you folks yesterday. If you don't get a chance to see it, I'm going to just give you a quick, review of it so that you guys know. The story I told you yesterday was about an incident that happened in 1997. And they kept, at night what they do is while I'm sleeping, they're talking and they said they're trying to strategize. But I think they're trying to spin it. They're trying to lie, weave a story. I'm from the Bronx. I told you folks, I don't have secrets. Anything I do out in the open, and I want people to know. So what I did when that incident happened, I called the same girl. I know you're going to say, what's the matter with you? I shouldn't do that to my head, but what's the matter with you? I called her and I told her what happened. And it seems that she wove it into a story to make it seem different. And I want the world to know this situation is happening to me. But I also want the people involved to know. So they said, well, why wasn't that situation in 1997 talked about? It was. We talked about it amongst ourselves. And it was never a secret. So they said, well, they said this is some sort of way of figuring me out psychologically. And my question to them is, why now? Like, this is the point. What happened in 2023 that makes something that happened in the 1980s important? It didn't start until 2016. That person was in my life, the elementary school mate, until 2011. And then I said, enough of this, enough. And that's my point. Like, what happened that this weirdness is relevant today? And it started becoming relevant in 2016. And what I'm saying to you is it doesn't make sense that there was supposed to be a psychological assessment on me when they're saying that I'm not going to live, pretty much. What is it? What do they want? And what I'm telling you folks, and I'm coming on camera to say this, they want to clone personalities so that they can use it for identity theft, for AI technology that they can use for customer service. They said it's easier to create an AI than to deal with me as a person. They said I'm a difficult person. I can be difficult, sure. I'm okay with that. But it doesn't make sense that if I'm such a difficult person, why would you want to clone me for customer service? Does that make any sense to you? No. A difficult person isn't good at customer service. I can't even put the words together to say, if I'm a difficult person, Why would you want to reconnect with me? Why would you want to clone me? Why would you want to use me for technology? It does make sense that they said what they do is they use like my face, my videos, and then they would use it for some sort of sexual videos. That makes sense. They also would use it for like a hologram so you can interact with me. Why would you want to interact with a difficult person? You can interact with the real life me if I'm, and that's my point. None of there are things, I don't want to say that phrase again. They make these phrases and then it gets stuck in my head. These things don't make sense. They don't. The other part of this that I think is so important is the idea that they want me to feel like I'm unpopular, I'm unwanted, nobody cares about me. I told you in a previous video, I don't want to call people and ask them to get involved because I think that's what they wanted this to. I think it's like a Ponzi scheme. They suck in more and more people. The people at the top, and I keep saying this, I've said this in previous videos, they make the money. They create the technology. They get these people to work for them. They pay them, gift cards or something, they said, to stalk people. And then if they rob them, they give them a little something. But those are the people who are at the bottom. So the more people you suck into this process, the more people are victimized and abused. But the people at the top, they stay out of the way. And that's my point. I'm not backing down from this. They said, well, we're going to continue to do this. We're going to continue to out you. You're such a difficult person. Nobody likes you. You're unpopular. That. So imagine hearing that and then them strategizing to see if they can convince me to say something that they would want me to say as opposed to leaving me alone. That's my point. The other element that I brought up that, they were upset about is when this first happened and I thought it was my phone. So I would shut my phone off. I would put it in a different room. I would do all these things. I didn't realize that it works together. And they're saying, well, no, we always had some way of invading your privacy. We would go upstairs in the apartment above and talk to you. We would do this. We would do that. That doesn't make sense. It seems too much emphasis on me, too much focus on me. And it doesn't make sense. So as I'm telling you, I'm researching and trying to figure this out. It doesn't make sense. A lot of these people could have had their own lives without involving me. Oh, that was the other key. They said what they wanted to do is keep me around because I could vouch for them, because I was credible, I was well-liked. You get what I'm saying? So there's the me who exists in reality, and then there's this fictional me. I didn't create it. They said, well, they wondered why I lost touch with certain people, as though I had to stay in touch with certain people. It's a world that they created because they said they wanted to make it seem like it's Catholic school. And because I come from Catholic school, they wanted to make it seem like it was college. Then they wanted to make it seem like it's this. So it's a world that seems that they created where I have to be in touch with people. Nobody thought about this stuff prior to 2016. 2016, I was living my life. Nobody was like, why didn't you stay in touch with someone from 1997? Nobody cared. I told you folks, I'm from the Bronx. I've lived in the Bronx, and they're like, well, you lived other places too. Yes, but I've always managed to keep ties in the Bronx. I didn't move out of the Bronx. I can stay other places. I can go other places, but I stay in the Bronx. Why? Because that's who I am. So I never moved out of the Bronx. I've stayed other places. I've lived other places, sure. But I stay in the Bronx. My roots are the Bronx. And that's another thing about this. They're trying to twist stories and try to lie. There's no lying. They're knocking. That means they're upstairs. There's no lying about this. There's no lying about this. And every time they lie, I come up with the proof, and then they try to come up with weave another story. Every story has to be woven. Just tell the damn story. That's the difference. You see, I just tell the story. This happened, that happened. So they said that they didn't, first they said they didn't realize that I really don't have that much drama. Then they said, oh, I have so much drama. I wish I had enough drama to have made this worthwhile for them. They wouldn't have to lie then. That's the point. If I had the type of drama that they predicted, they wouldn't come up with lies. As I'm talking to you folks and I'm telling you what's happening and I'm dealing with medical issues and they're making threats, I feel like maybe that was the point. It wasn't just to kill me. It was to make me so fearful that I would reconnect with people I don't want. So they said, if I call the police and these people approach me, the police won't respond. That's a lie. That's a lie. But it was to make me so fearful that I would reconnect with the elementary school mate who I want nothing to do with. Her and her family tried to ruin my life. I had thank you cards from them over the years. And suddenly they come up with these lies about me. They said she wrote these stories that I told her. I told her these stories in a book. Then they said, well, they're going to come up with things like the Dawn Birds. You know how old I would have been when the Dawn Birds was on television? I was a little girl. So it's like the people running this tried to collect stories, and they said a lot of the stories came from people older than me. So I don't believe my elementary school friend, that's what she was, my elementary school mate, was like a 10-year-old writing these stories. I believe it probably was her family. That's what I believe. There's no way that child, when I was a kid, and I'm telling you the story with the Michael Jackson special, I think it could have been on like maybe 1984, 83, 85. There's no way that little child was involved. I'm putting my finger right out there. Let me see if I can get my finger. It was her aunt and her mom. And I'm putting that out there publicly. Because there are a lot of people who are trying to hide something nasty that must have happened to children. And they're trying to use children as an excuse. And you get what I'm saying? This seems like something that happened to children. And the older people who should have been held responsible are now saying, well, it's this child or that child. No, I don't believe it. So now they said, of course, I didn't do anything wrong as a child. I was a good kid. So now I'm getting the good kid. No, I'm going right back to this story. I'm not letting anyone off the hook. Because I'm now saying, as I listen to all of this, it seems like the older people did the wrong things and thought that my generation should be held responsible. We are not. I want the truth. I want the truth out there. So as I'm telling you these things, I don't know what happened in 2016 that made them want to dig this story up. I think they said at one point they wanted a lawsuit. Well, you can't just, that's what they said. They said they wanted to use me to sue different people because I had credibility and I wasn't an unlikable person. Do you get what I mean? But now I don't trust that. I don't trust it. I want to know the truth. And I said to them one time, I said, you know what? Let's start pulling some strings. When I transferred schools, I went from second to third grade to a new school. So I moved, my family moved. I stayed in second grade where I used to live and had to commute there. When I was ready to graduate into third grade, I went to a new school where I met the elementary school mate, and they gave me 2 textbooks. And the woman said, which textbook did you finish? So in third grade, when I started third grade, I could have been 7. Because I'm born in December, I start school at 4. So I could have been like 7. Let me double check. I think I was 7. Yeah, I was 7 when I started third grade. So she gave me 2 textbooks. And she said, which textbook, let me see if I can remember, which textbook did you finish? I said, I'm not sure. I think it's this one. And I pointed to the correct one. She said, oh, if you're not sure, then we'll have you start with the other one. And I looked at her like I'm 7. I'm like, I said, So I kept telling my mother, Ma, I'm in the wrong level. So what they did was they started me in 3rd grade, but they put me in a class that was considered like special. So you had like A and B. I would have been in B. And because of that, I learned what I already learned. So it was like I repeated what I already knew. I used to get bored because I did it already. I'm 7. I mean, come on, I'm a 7-year-old. So because I was in the B group, which was sort of like a special class, I didn't even learn some of the topics. So by the time I hit high school and we had to take a test to see where we were placed in, like for math and different things, because I didn't learn the material, I didn't do well on that. So they keep trying to figure out, well, why didn't you do well on, I did well on, we had a co-op exam. A co-op exam is an exam that you take to get entry into a Catholic high school. I did well on that. But I didn't do well on my SAT. They think it's a great mystery. Why didn't you do well on your SAT? Because I didn't learn all the material. That's the simple answer. So again, going back to this idea that they thought this was something that they always did, they couldn't have always done it because they would have known that. And you see how the truth is just plain and simple. It's so easy. Why don't they just tell the truth? So as I'm telling you folks this and I'm doing these videos, I'm going to see if I can back up a little bit. I said, pull that string. And once they started to pull that string, it started to be clear. Too many lies. And it starts with adults. Do I think it was Catholic school? No. I fought for a long time, and so did my mom, to get me out of the special class into the regular class. But once they already started, for some reason, they didn't want to put me with the regular class. They should have done it the right way, which was just to ask the previous school and not ask a 7-year-old. But it goes to show that is part of this issue I have. The issue I have is that it seems like a lot of adults doing the wrong things. And now they expect a 49-year-old to take the blow for it. I'm not taking the punches for it. I'm not. There's no reason to. So they were upset that the tone of yesterday's video wasn't appropriate. Good. I'm going to try to make as many tone inappropriate videos as I can for the rest of my life. You see, that's what happened. They freed me. They freed me from feeling like I have to always be appropriate. Feeling like I have to be, what's the word for it? I have to be good. I have to be the good girl. I don't have to be the good girl anymore. I'm a 49-year-old middle-aged woman. I don't have to be the good girl. Thanks for watching.